Hey guys, welcome back for another video. Important video here today. What I think is very important, talking about the down hinge again. So I've talked about the down hinge in previous videos. I mentioned it in a lot of my videos. You guys ask, why down hinge? What is a down hinge? So when we talk about a down hinge, just think of it as releasing your wrist angles, because as you make your backswing, your wrist hinge varying amounts. The thumbs go from pointing at the ground, pointing towards the camera, and then pointing towards the target at the top of the backswing. Down hinge just means you uncock those wrists, you start pointing the thumbs away from the target. So if I put myself at the top of the backswing, if all I do is unhinge my wrist, this is the down hinge, okay? I'm hinging my wrist downwards as opposed to hinging my wrist upwards in the backswing. So why do we do that in a lot of the drills I ask you to do, okay? You can see if at the top of the backswing, I down hinge, one, the shaft gets shallower, which is one thing that we like. Two, when I down hinge, it typically leads to the face squaring up, because if all I do is down hinge my wrist, you can see the face squares up right there, versus if I just let the club shallow backwards like that, the face opens up. So for a lot of people, the squaring up, the down hinging, squaring with the club face kills two birds with one stone. You shallow the club out, you square the club face out, and three, if you down hinge, you see from the face on view, I return the length of the arc back. A lot of players who don't rotate well because they've held onto their lag, held onto the wrist angles, you can see if I hold on to them, that's very steep. The steeper I am, the higher up the club is off the ground, I have to somehow get my hands lower to try to get the club head back to the ground. But we don't want that. The more you pull down, the steeper you are, probably the less rotation you're gonna have through the ball. If I down hinge and get that length of the arc back, I do not have to pull my hands down, because you can see if I pull my hands down, I'm gonna chunk it every single time. But if I down hinge and keep my hands where it is in relationship to my body, if all I do is turn, I get the club back to the ball. So that promotes a lot of rotation, which is why in a lot of the drills we do, I like people to down hinge to promote rotation, to promote that good impact structure where trail arm bent, lead arm straight, lead wrist flat, trail wrist bent. If all we do is rotate from there, you can see it looks pretty good at impact. If I don't down hinge, even assuming you have a good backswing, if you don't down hinge, I rotate, I'm never gonna get back to the ball unless I start tilting back or unless I start pulling down. But those things we don't want to do, okay? So you guys are gonna start asking, oh, isn't down hinge early release, isn't it casting? Well, it really isn't. I think a lot of concepts that you guys have heard or listened to in the past, it's all very big misunderstandings. It hurts more players than help, okay? So if you are trying to help yourself with your golf swings, if you're watching my stuff, I always stress, throw away all preconceived notions you guys might have of what the golf swing should be like, because holding angles, early release, casting, all those things are just kind of made up terms that don't really do anything for us, in all honesty. So as long as you can think, as long as you understand why we down hinge, hopefully now you do, you can see how this fits into the big picture rather than not down hinging and holding on to the angles, okay? So going back, so bringing that into the full swing, do you down hinge in the full swing? For some players, maybe. If you're working on things initially, probably definitely you have to down hinge. So if you're someone who's steep and pulling, you're probably gonna want to down hinge even in the full swing, regardless of speed. Partial speed, full speed, whatever it may be, you have to down hinge to get that club back to the ball so you can keep rotating, because you've never rotated before, you've never gotten the club back to the ball with proper rotation. Now at full speed, even if you down hinge, it's never gonna look, you're never gonna look like this in the downswing. It's probably gonna not look very different from the face on view, because the swing happens so fast. The intent of the down hinge is what counts the most. The intent of I'm turning, I'm down hinging in full speed, turn to down hinge being the sequence. That's the intent. That's what helps you bottom out the club. That's what helps you get the rotation going. Those are the building blocks we've set up in the drill to allow you to bring that into the full speed. So don't overthink it. If you're thinking, oh, like this down hinge doesn't make much sense, why do we do it? It honestly helps you more than hurts. So at the end of the day, like I think a great example of this is if you watch the live lesson videos where I do with Wesley, I have him downhinge so early, so hard, but you're never gonna see it in full speed. But it's helping him not only increase club head speed, but also improve the consistency of the delivery and improve the face predictability at impact. So if you think of it from a power perspective, if all I do is hold my angles and not release my wrist angles, how's that gonna help us swing it faster? How's it gonna help us hit it harder? If I want to fully hit it as hard as I can, I have to release all my energy. That's the down hinge. If I do this, I'm probably gonna add some extra force into it. Granted, I sequence it properly from legs to body to down hinge. But that sequence isn't gonna work if you're thinking legs to body to hold, and then down hinge, because again, the swing happens so fast, you're never gonna time it in time. So this is why we down hinge, this is why we like it. You can see no down hinge. I'm gonna hold my angles on the swing. I can't get back to the ball. Versus if I down hinge, you can see I can rotate much more through it without pulling the hands down, okay? So this is why we down hinge. A lot of the drills I talk about will incorporate the down hinge into some piece or another, just to get the length of the arc back, to give yourself the best chance at adding rotation. Golf being a rotational sport, you need to rotate. So hope that makes sense. Any questions, leave it in the comments below, and we'll catch you guys next time. Thanks, guys.